guys, thanks for stopping by. For those of you who have just stumbled upon us, we're all about having a nice time like you were with friends around a stitching table, just chit-chatting. Of course, I don't have my coffee right now, but you know, just like we were stitching and talking and laughing. Yes, that's what we all want to be here, is happy and supportive. Very supportive group here. I have been so blessed with so many comments that are just supportive of each other. If you have a chance, I read all of the comments. I don't always get to respond to all of them. As you can imagine, there's just our little family here is growing and is huge, and I love it. I was an only child until I was about 9 when my older sister was adopted. So I love the big family. I love the big family. It's wonderful. Well, today is absolutely stunning, and it's supposed to be in the mid-80s. I just know a bunch of my roses are going to pop into full bloom. I cannot believe that we are into June. I cannot believe that. It's amazing. It's amazing. You would think that, you know, it's a funny thing with what we've all gone through collectively, at how slow time moves and how fast it's moving at the same time. It's a weird conundrum, for sure. Just weird, because it seems like it was taking forever for things to happen, and we go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but then look at, it's June, and I feel this intense need to embrace everything right now. I'm not sure how you're feeling about it, but it's like I can't get enough of anything. I want to do it all. I am just, you know. And then I was thinking about the whole, you know, we kind of went full circle. I remember when we were first stuck at home, everyone was like, oh my gosh, I have too much crap. We don't call fabric crap here. Yeah. I have too much stuff. I have too much stuff. But then we were grateful. We were grateful that we had all of this to occupy ourselves with, because so many shops closed, so many shops had limited hours. Some of us didn't have, might not have had shops that were readily available to us, and so didn't travel. Online was an option, but that was like a tic-tac-toe game where you never knew when and if it was coming. So much of our lives was disrupted. And then I watched several people, when they started to venture out, they started going to Goodwill, and they would discover just gems. And you know, when I think about it, that I get so much joy with the potential of what I might create. It's not even just the creating. I mean, sure, there's this whole lifespan to a project. It starts with the dream, the potential. Then it moves to the hunt, which is in itself so much fun. Then it moves to where it percolates and ferments and flavors itself. And then it's discovered again. And then you're starting to work on it. And then it might go on the back burner for a while because, you know, like canning, you do it, but you maybe don't enjoy it. No one cans something and then pops the can open to eat it. No, you've got to let it sit on the shelf. You've got to feel proud and feel good about it. Look at how good I am. And then when you pop that lid open and you smell the aroma of all the projects, yes, I mean, there's a whole thing. And so what if I died and left all of this, and my family, they maybe don't want it all, and so then they donate it to Goodwill, and then someone else goes, oh my gosh, look what I discovered. So I'm not just buying for myself. I'm buying for the collective family of potential creators. I don't know. I don't know, it sounds good to me. It sounds good to me. And I had to really talk myself through that because I suddenly got a package in the mail. I might have told you this already, but it was something last year, I think it was last October, I have always wanted to make a swoon quilt. One of the gals who's a friend of mine and moved away from Sisters, Tamara, used to teach at the Stitch and Post, and when she made a swoon block, I was like amazed by it. And so I always knew I wanted to do it. And so I said, someday I'm going to make a swoon block. Someday I'm going to make a swoon block. But last year, I wanted to break outside of my box. And I think there's something good about doing that. You know, I was a fairly traditional quilter. I mean, I started out with the novelties. I had young kids. I was mystery quilt queen. But then I evolved into the primitive world, and I loved all the Civil War fabrics and the primitive fabrics, and then I evolved out of that a little bit. And that's the thing about quilting, is that you don't get to have to have one hairstyle. You don't get to have one hair color. You don't get to have you get to do whatever you please. Right? So last year I saw French General, and normally we would see them at market, you know, all of that stuff. You've heard me go wah, 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 wah. But French General was coming out with a new kind of stitch along with the swoon block, and I was like, oh, you know, I've dabbled a little bit in French General fabrics, but that would be a way to step way out my normal box, and I could do it with a swoon block. So I ordered all this. I dived in deep, and then product wasn't made, product couldn't be shipped, and I just waited and waited until, and you got to have patience. I mean, it's not French General's fault. I mean, they want to get the stuff out there and make money. Yeah, they want to do it. But, you know, their hands are tied. So I kind of forgot about it. I remember talking to someone via email at French General, but and I decided I'll just be patient and see what happens. Well, then this week, we're talking this week, this heavy package ends up on my front porch, and I pick it up and I'm thinking, well, that can't be the project bag I ordered. This is too heavy. And I open it up, and it is the French General project. Oh my gosh. With the swoon blocks. Swoon 16. Now, here we go. This is what it's ultimately going to look like. Is that not just gorgeous? And the fabric that we're using is Hello Darling by Bonnie and Camille for Moda. I mean, yeah. It comes in its own project bag, and oh, it's so heavy because of all the fabrics. So here's the background fabric. Always just this lovely, lovely cream color. Just lovely. And then this whole pack of fat quarters. Ooh, and I love this Moda fabric tape. I just love that. But I am a little bit scared because this requires concentration, which isn't my best attribute. Not really. I remember one time my dad wanted me to sweep the driveway and the sidewalk around his office. You know, it was maybe at the most a 20-minute job. But I was dawdling and dawdling and dawdling, and finally he gave up on me. And he went out there and swept it himself. And then he comes in. Now, mind you, I'm like somewhere between, I'm thinking I'm 13, maybe. He comes in and he goes, wow, he went out and swept around the office. And I'm like, oh, I was supposed to do that. And he goes, yeah, look what I found. And he holds up a $20 bill. He goes, it was blown in the leaves in the corner of the fence. Yeah, you get it. You get it. I learned how to parent from my parent. Yeah, because my mind was going, love and logic, baby. Love and logic. Something happens, there's an outcome. No use crying over spilled milk. It's just, when this happens, this happens. And I know he probably put that $20 bill out there. I was sick. So let me just say, let me get back to it. See, here we're going. Here we're going. Concentration is not my best suit. And when I saw the cutting instructions for the 16 fat quarters, the cutting diagram scared the bejeebies out of me. I mean, there's no mistake. You cannot do a mistake on this cutting, or you're just going to have to get a whole another fat quarter. So I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to close the curtains, shut the window so I don't have to listen to that bird, lock the door. There's no lock on the beehive. Maybe I'll brace a chair against it, get everything ready to cut, and cut it all out. Because I would love to take this project to retreat. I don't know. Maybe it's too complicated. Maybe the swoon block's too complicated for a retreat sew. But irregardless, when I go to cut these out, I'm going to have to shut that window, because that bird is really talking to me, and block the door. Yeah. I can't wait. This is going to be fantastic. So you end up with 16-inch blocks. And you only get 16 fat quarters. And then they say you get one sweet quilt. That's if you cut the 16 fat quarters correctly for the 16-inch blocks. Oh, yeah. Ay, ay, ay. So there you go. Well, the winner, here we're on to winners. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So the winner of the hand-stitched home by Joyce Sharp. Oh, I don't want to lose the buttons. It comes with the buttons. Busy Bee Wool Applique Mat by Joyce Sharp. You know the one I mean. Look at this. Isn't that adorable? I just love it. And it comes with all of the buttons that you need for the mat. Is Kathy Harris. Congratulations, Kathy. So I'll have my email address in the drop-down box, and you just email me, okay? And although I don't have her name on the tip of my tongue, the person that won the Tater Patch gift card never contacted me. So I'm going to wait till the next video, and if I haven't heard from her, then we're going to redraw that one. Yeah, because I'm sure some of you absolutely need it. And I need to get it out of the beehive, or I'm going to spend it. Yeah. Okay, stay tuned, because next is a little bit of a Hexi demo. And I know that you will see why I am enamored of my Hexi life. Stay tuned. Well, are you ready to start the Hexi demo? I am. So this is kind of like a regular setup in the beehive if I was going to be mass producing hexies. And I have various products here which I will talk about. First of all, my Yazzie bags. This is for the iron, and my bottle of starch. Well, it's not starch actually, it's flatter, and it's scentless, and it's just a little bottle. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. Flatter. And this is an organic fiber relaxant, and it's by the Soak Company, S-O-A-K, and I use it quite a bit to get those sharp folds in applique or my hexies. Next, I've got my little rotary cutter. I've got to figure out this camera. Okay, going that way. Okay, so I use a little rotary cutter for my hexies because they're not big. I have my Tula Pink Hexagon. Paperpieces.com is who produces this. And what I love about this is for 1-inch hexies. So there are other hexie templates for larger hexies, but right now I am totally in deep on the 1-inch hexies. And the reason I love this is because it has a clear look to it, so that you can see the motif and kind of center it within your hexie front, and then you can see where the rest of the fabric goes in the part that gets folded under. So that's the other thing there. I have my needle threader. This was by, let's see, this is Needle Threaders. I know I got this in a class with a quilter named David Thomas, I think, years ago. And it has, you know, at first I thought, what's the point? But as my eyes have gotten older, definitely. And because I love to stitch my hexies or applique with the YLI silk thread in this kind of nondescript beige color. It's the 100. And what I love about this is that with this, first of all, the silk thread is very, very strong. And when you tug it a little bit, when you make that stitch, it totally melts into the fibers of the fabric, and so you don't see it. So you don't have to be a great appliquer. You can be a mediocre or a poor appliquer, and your stitches won't show as much with this. So that's why I use this. And this color, This color is kind of like those colors that disappear in all the fabrics. So thread. I also have, that I sometimes take with me, this pressing mat. It is by Traditional Primitives, and let me tell you, I first fell down the Hexi hole because of Missy Carpenter. And this is just an ironing, a hard ironing surface. And so I can take that with me, and it's an easy place to iron. I've got my little Dritz iron that has steam, and I found this at the quilt shop that's, gosh, I'm just taking a blank, the Quilt House. Yeah, I think it's called the Quilt House in Nevada, and I'll put all the links for all of these down there. But this template to hold this silicone pad, this iron is plugged in and hot, and I do not even feel it through there, so I can just set my iron on it and not worry about it. In my Yazzie Hexi bag, I have extra scissors. I have all these pockets that are filled with things I need, like the clip that I hold the hexies together with when I'm stitching them. This is so I don't burn my finger. It's like a long fingernail if you don't have long fingernails. This one is what I use to iron hexies with. Now I don't glue or stitch down. I kind of don't want to stitch down my hexies ahead of time because, and I know that's a traditional way of doing it, but to me it's like double sewing. So I use a starch pen, which I got at the Stitch and Post. And what you do is you just unscrew the top of this. Just unscrews the top. And you put 5 drops of this starch in there and fill the rest up with water to the water line. And then you have a starch pen to get your hexies ironed. So we definitely will be using that. Now I received some fabulous, oh, and I keep my hexie papers in here, and all the hexies that need to be sewn. They're already pre-packaged from Spring Daisy Stitchery, who has the hexie sale going on. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put this there. I've cut out our friend on the Stitch Quilt Roadies and all the other places, Gail. She sent me this fabulous, fabulous fabric, and I can't believe I didn't have it. So I was very excited to use it, and then I saw, then my friend Robin sent this fabulous little alien, and he's going peace, and he was just the right color, because I am sure there are other worlds where they are sewing hexies. So I cut out my hexies like that. Okay. Isn't that cute? And the thing about this mat that you can cut on is that it rolls around so that you can do different angles, and I will show you that. So I'm going to just put this over here because I want to show you the cutting. My friend Robin, Pocket Robin, sent me this cute baby fabric and said, I think these would make cute hexies. And she's right. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the baby down there. I've got my hexie template, and I can see through it, and I can center the baby on there. And you know, sometimes I'll even fudge a little bit on the seam allowance. I know that's going to fold under. As long as I have enough to fold under, I'm happy. But this is fitting perfectly, and then I'm going to just cut it along the edge. And then This thing rotates around. You see how nice that is? There we go. Then when I pick it up, my Hexi baby is centered perfectly in my Hexi. That's going to be so cute. That's going to be so cute. So now I will go on to pressing the hexies. So I'm just kind of moving along here, bringing my mat out. And I've got my little alien. And I won't do all of these because it'll be too boring for you, but we'll just do a couple just to show you how I do it, and then we'll move on to the stitching part, okay? So this is just a little cardboard hexi paper, and I kind of make sure that I want his peace sign to be in there. So I'm just going like this. And then I kind of give the pen a little squeeze till I get a couple drops out. And then I'm just going to paint. See, I'm just painting the edge of that. Got my little finger presser, and I'm just going to fold that over. Probably should put it on this finger. And then I bring my iron over. And I'm going to fold this next one over, and I kind of bring it over pretty tight in the corner. And then I just kind of press. And I'm going over to the next one. This allows me to hold the fabric down without getting burned. Which I have gotten burned several times. That's why I've developed a kit. Okay. There, I've got my little alien. So he's going to be the center. And then I do the same thing with all of these, and I situate them around how I want. Now once I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, do I have one? I will show you. So we'll go on to the stitching part. So once I have all of them pressed, I start sewing them together. And I'll end up, you know, holding it and clipping it, and then holding it and clipping it, and sometimes the paper will pop out, and I'm okay with that. Then when I'm done sewing that seam, I'll pop that paper back in because I want to give it one final press with all the papers in so that it has a nice sharp look to it. But sometimes the papers will pop out. That's just, they'll pop halfway out, I should say. But that isn't a problem for me. I just keep sewing along, and then once I'm done sewing, I pop that paper back in and move on to the next. And I just kind of go up and down or down across, whichever I'm forced to do. And then I end up with a hexi flower. And once that's done with the paper in it, I will press it. Give it a good press with flatter. I'll spray it with the flatter. And so it gets this nice sharp look to it. Okay. Once that is done, oh, and then let me just tell you, this little threader, because I use silk thread, the bane of silk thread existence is the fact that it's so darn slippery. So I can't see it. So I thread it with this little threader, and once it's threaded, I tie a knot with a short tail at the eye end of the needle so that it doesn't keep slipping out. Now, if you're not too upset about having to rethread your needle all the time, you can just leave it without a knot and a tail, and then when it comes out, you'll just rethread it. But I tend to want to throw a tantrum, so I just tie a knot, and the silk thread is so thin and so slippery that the knot doesn't hold up the sewing, the stitching. And then I just put a quilter's knot at the other end, and then we're ready to sew. Once I have my hexie ready to sew, I pop all the paper out. I measure against my background, and then I pin it, usually in 3 places, to get it secure on there. And then I just slip stitch it. Let me get some glasses on here. So I'm just slip stitching it down. When I'm sewing the hexies together in this way here, I do what's called a ladder stitch, and you can Google what that is. But it's basically I do a slip stitch and then go through the slip, and then go to the next slip stitch and go under the slip all the way across, so there's a nice little ladder. But you can see that you cannot tell, and I cannot see any of my thread, and it's because of the silk thread that just kind of melts like butter into the fabric, especially when it's a color that's basically invisible. So as I stitch this down, once I have it all stitched down, then I press it again. I give it a spray of flatter or starch just to give it a nice sharp spot there, and then I have my block done. It's not real complicated. It's pretty darn simple, and really there are a million ways to do this online. This is just my simple way. I travel with my projects, and I don't want to take a whole lot of equipment with me. I need it to be simple, versatile, and relaxing. Most of all, relaxing. So I hope that was enough of a demo on the hexies, but I am going to be taking this little template, and you can cut one out of, you know, that plastic stuff that we have, all quilters seem to have in their room. It's just that you won't want to cut against that because you could keep shaving it off. But this is, geez, about a 1/4 inch thick, and so it functions like a ruler when you're cutting. But I'm going to carry this to the quilt store with me this week because I am going to be hexie hunting. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will see you the next time around for some updates, okay? Take care. I love you guys, and thanks for stopping by.